We're kicking off with AEW Dynamite, as this was the first show since Samoa Joe was crowned AEW World Champion at World's End, which also saw Adam Cole revealed as the Devil. On Dynamite, the Devil came out with his allies to address their actions, and while his theme started playing, it transitioned into a new theme for his new faction. A much darker theme played, along with a new entrance package, as the group entered dressed in black, and Cole later revealed that this is the Undisputed Kingdom. Cole explained that he never felt that MJF respected the sacrifices he made for their friendship, citing his broken ankle as an example of the lengths he went for his former friend. Cole betrayed MJF simply so that MJF wouldn't betray him first, and pointed out that while he has history with the Kingdom and Roderick Strong, Wardlow's inclusion was despite MJF directly. MJF, according to Cole, never appreciated Wardlow, and Cole even went so far to claim that MJF is dead and never coming back, before laying out the next few months of TV. Cole made it clear who Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Wardlow, and Roderick Strong will be targeting, and issued a warning to Samoa Joe before being ready to exit. That was until Jay White interrupted and took exception to the attack the Devil and his henchmen gave him, and the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold also joined the fray. The heels were chased out of the ring, with the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass seeking the same revenge on Cole and his minions as White. An interesting start to Dynamite. Cole was a great lead heel, and while his reasoning was rather one-dimensional, the segment did a great job of looking ahead at what's to come. The tease of the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold joining forces to fight a common enemy was another nice bit of business, as they are so polarly opposite that it's intriguing. Following AEW World's End, it was reported that MJF would be taking some time off from the company to recover from the many injuries he'd accumulated during his world title run. MJF himself has not publicly commented on the matter, but the former world champion could be on the sidelines for a long time if a recent report is anything to go by. Friedman put his title on the line against Samoa Joe in the main event of World's End, despite suffering a torn labrum, and put up a valiant effort, but eventually was choked out by Joe. While speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer provided some updates on MJF's status and revealed that the wrestler may need surgery on his injured shoulder. MJF is said to be still debating on the matter as to whether to have surgery, as Meltzer explained. From what I was told, he's either going to have to rehab the shoulder, which is the main problem, or he may need surgery, and just judging from how severe it was, he may need that surgery, and the surgery would put him out for quite a while. He's still debating which tact to take. I think it's probably the best thing for him to have the surgery, but that's a long time off. If MJF can avoid the surgery, he would be back much sooner than if he goes under the knife, but it also means that his injury may not fully heal, and he could risk more damage. All we know for now is that MJF won't be appearing on AEW programming at this time, and whatever he decides, we hope it's the right call for the former champion. Later today, Triple H will make a major announcement during WWE's preview special of 2024, which will air exclusively on Peacock. There's been plenty of speculation about what the game will have to say in this announcement, especially after such a massive 2023, and could this announcement affect AEW? Word on the street, or rather the internet, is that this announcement could be confirming Raw's move to Warner Bros. Discovery, which could see AEW programming kicked off of TBS. Hypothetically, such a move will put AEW at a disadvantage by making them lose ground in the rights renewal, as Dynamite hasn't been consistent when it comes to rights renewal. Tony Khan has previously tried to downplay the dip in ratings for his show, saying that this is a problem that the majority of cable TV shows are facing, and it's not specific to his production. The upcoming WWE Preview Special 2024 will see a stacked lineup, with CM Punk and Rhea Ripley being confirmed and adding more interest into what'll be announced. Is the game about to announce Raw's move to WBD, or does the Cerebral Assassin have something else in mind? We'll just have to wait to find out. During the Day 1 edition of Raw, The Rock made his thunderous return to WWE, and in addition to laying out Jinder Mahal, has teased challenging Roman Reigns for his spot as head of the table. The Rock had plenty to say in his first appearance for WWE in months, and in fact, the Brahma Bull had more to say than what WWE originally planned. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that the Rock segment went 7 minutes over the schedule, and they needed to make up for the time later on in the night. On Twitter, Austin Theory reacted to this news, saying that nobody was man enough to tell The Rock it doesn't matter what he had to say, and Theory even declared that SmackDown is my show. Theory was laid out by the Brahma Bull during an episode of SmackDown last year and clearly hasn't forgotten that, and we wonder if these two could have more interactions in the months to come. Back to Dynamite, and an enraged Hangman Page interrupted a Renee Paquette interview with Daddy Magic Matt Menard, vowing to beat down Samoa Joe, Adam Cole, or anyone from the Undisputed Kingdom. Up next, Daniel Garcia and Swerve Strickland looked to build on their momentum in the main event, and it was Strickland who won the ultra-competitive match, keeping his title aspirations alive. Post-match, Strickland and Prince Nana attacked Garcia before Page hit the ring, and after coming face-to-face with Swerve, it wasn't long before a brawl broke out. Referees and security pulled them apart as the show came to an end, with this being a great hot finish that spices up the AEW title scene now surrounding Samoa Joe. Adam Cole set up Wardlow to be a prominent fixture, while Strickland and Page eyeing the gold keeps things exciting with multiple moving pieces. These intertwining stories and fresh faces in the title hunt make the show as interesting at the top of the card as it has been in a long while, and was a great conclusion to the first Dynamite of 2024. In 2023, Bryan Danielson announced that he was embarking on his final year as a full-time wrestler and has vowed to make this year the very best of his career. Danielson will be stepping away from the ring so he can spend more time with his family and those around him, but that doesn't mean he's finished in the squared circle. In an interview with Tokyo Sports, Danielson said that once he scales back on matches, he hopes to have around 5 to 10 matches a year and named some dream opponents. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Tomohiro Ishii are just some of the names that Danielson would love to face after he deals with Kazuchika Okada. His match with Okada is scheduled to take place at Wrestle Kingdom 18 in a highly anticipated showdown that has garnered significant attention from wrestling fans. Danielson has vowed to break the arm of Okada in their match, payback for the injury Danielson suffered at Forbidden Door 2, and we'll have to see if Bryan lives up to his word in Tokyo. Now, this week's NXT was supposed to see Ilja Dragunov defend the NXT Championship against Trick Williams, but that match was postponed as Dragunov was deemed unable to compete. On the show, WWE said that Dragunov couldn't compete due to the injury he suffered at the hands of Ridge Holland, which is a kayfabe injury, so why didn't the Mad Dragon actually compete? Well, House of Wrestling reports that Dragunov is actually banged up from his wars in 2023, and those issues are taking a bit more time to heal up than initially expected. The call to have Dragunov removed from the New Year's Evil main event was made sometime this past weekend, and a time frame for Dragunov's return to in-ring action is uncertain. What we do know is that Williams is still the #1 contender for the NXT Championship after successfully retaining his coveted spot against Grayson Waller on this week's show. As for Dragunov, it remains to be seen when he's allowed to wrestle again, but for the time being, there'll be no matches from the reigning NXT champion. Last month, it was revealed that Kevin Dunn has ended his lengthy tenure with WWE that started before the first WrestleMania, leaving fans to wonder, what's next? PW Insider reports that there is internal discussion about Chris Kaiser, the WWE Executive Vice President of Television, potentially taking over Dunn's role. Kaiser is a significant name in WWE and has been extensively involved in managing and overseeing television production for the company since his arrival nearly a decade ago. Dunn received acknowledgement during the WWE talent meeting prior to this week's Raw, with Nick Khan and Triple H praising Dunn and recognizing his decades as a top producer behind the scenes. The report adds that while Dunn had the official rubber stamp on decisions, Kaiser has been actively involved in the day-to-day workings, making a possible transition relatively seamless. WWE pitched for Dunn to stay on until WrestleMania, but the veteran executive rejected the notion in favor of a clean break, and we'll have to see what changes happen backstage due to his exit. Dynamite saw Christian Cage lead a State of the Union address following his TNT title victory over Adam Copeland at World's End, but more important than what he said was the crowd's reaction. The fans drowned out Cage's words with chants of Luchasaurus, a testament to Tony Khan's handling of the Dino-masked big man of late as he continues to reluctantly follow the loathed Cage. This is an all-time heel run for Cage, who has been exceptional as the patriarch of AEW, and calling Nick Wayne the apple of my eye and my son was a great bit of business. Shayna Wayne was great in her limited mic work here, Cage was his typically excellent self, and this otherwise uneventful segment was enhanced because of it. Now, it's no secret that Adam Copeland is in the final leg of his wrestling career, as the Rated R Superstar has made it clear that he is staring down the end of his run. Unlike 2011, Copeland has the chance to end his career on his own terms, and while on the Not Sam Wrestling podcast, Copeland explained that he doesn't need the triumphant send-off. He explained that he's already had that in WWE, and similarly, he doesn't know if he wants Christian Cage to be his final opponent, as they've already faced off many times before. Copeland suggested it'd be good to give that final shot in the arm to somebody else who could benefit from the milestone of being the Hall of Famer's last opponent. Copeland did say that he'd hope to have his final match in Maple Leaf Gardens, the same venue he saw Pro Wrestling Live in for the first time, which is, of course, significant to him. Adam Copeland has seen an incredible career of highs and lows, and we can only hope he gets the send-off he's seeking for his final ever match. In her in-ring debut for AEW, Mariah May defeated Queen Aminata, but her impressive win on Dynamite was quickly overshadowed by the arrival of Deonna Purrazzo. May said after her match that she was unhappy her win had to happen in New Jersey, which brought out Purrazzo, a New Jersey native who was ready to shut her up. The former Impact Knockouts champion then announced that she was all elite and is coming for May and her idol, Women's World Champion Toni Storm. On Twitter, Tony Khan made it official with an all-elite graphic, and the arrival of Purrazzo, who was once part of WWE, makes her the first signing for Khan in 2024. Purrazzo earned a huge response from her fellow New Jerseyans in the crowd, but there was one extra important person who was watching the show. Impact Steve Macklin was spotted at Dynamite watching Purrazzo's debut, which is hardly a surprise given that the former world champion is married to the virtuosa. Purrazzo made quite the impact with her AEW debut, and what did you think of her arrival? Let us know down in the comments. On January 23, 1984, Hulk Hogan ended the brief WWF title reign of the Iron Sheik to win his first WWF championship, and this is considered as the official date that HulkaMania was born. This week, WrestleVotes reports that WWE are preparing to celebrate the 40th anniversary of this monumental win, with merchandise and collectibles being made around Hogan's victory. With that said, one person who may miss this celebration is the Hulkster himself, as while an appearance by Hogan isn't out of the question, it isn't planned at this time. Due to the controversies to his name, Hogan often receives a mixed response from fans, so while Hulkamania will be celebrated later this month, the man behind the title win may not. On this week's NXT, Roxanne Perez snapped after being taunted by Ariana Grace and locked in a submission move that looked very familiar to some fans tuning in. In an interesting move, Perez locked in the bank statement on the beauty queen, and fans couldn't help but notice that the move once used by Mercedes Moné was back on TV. With reports of talks between Moné and WWE breaking down due to money, some have suggested that this is WWE officially moving on, and a sign that they have no plans to bring Moné back. Speculation has now grown that Moné will ultimately sign with AEW, and whether that happens or not, expect to see the bank statement in WWE, just not being used by Sasha Banks. Right now, there is no shortage of free agents in the world of professional wrestling, and fans are excited to see which company these names ultimately end up signing with. WWE is, of course, the biggest name in town and will likely have the ability to offer the most money, but the promotion is in no hurry to lock talents into contracts. In a Fightful Select report about Deonna Purrazzo, it was said that while WWE had spoken with her, their discussions had not been lengthy. They report, "We are told there had been contact with WWE, but WWE sources indicated that most, if not all of their free agent discussions have been tabled until the new year started." Given that Purrazzo debuted for AEW Dynamite this week, perhaps WWE wants to rethink this strategy of waiting until the new year before they look at signing free agents. Deonna Purrazzo was part of WWE's NXT brand, but she departed from the company after they didn't do much with her, and after an impressive Impact run, is ready to make a splash in AEW. It's been months since Jade Cargill signed with WWE, and while fans haven't seen her on TV in some time, the former AEW TBS champion did resurface on a much different show. During her absence from WWE, Jade Cargill appeared on the January 2nd episode of SuperChef Grudge Match on the Food Network and served as a guest chef on the show. Cargill wasn't the only name from wrestling on the episode, as Willow Nightingale was also around, and the show featured a replay of an AEW Dynamite match between Jade and Willow. In the end, Antonio Lofaso and Willow prepared a surf and turf dish, while Brian Malaki and Cargill prepared a cheeseball-crusted pork chop served over kale with corn relish. After much deliberation, the judges determined that Chef Antonio and Nightingale produced the superior dish, giving Lofaso a $10,000 prize, as well as Malaki's own chef knife. Willow Nightingale never beat Jade Cargill in AEW, but she now has a unique victory over the WWE free agent, and we're sure that Jade will fare better in a WWE ring than she did on this show. Back to Dynamite, and this week's show saw the return of Private Party, who were ready to put the entire tag team division on notice. On the show, Orange Cassidy defeated Dante Martin in a high-flying match, though we'd have to say that Martin's athleticism may be unmatched in AEW, as he makes everything look effortless. Martin mocking Cassidy's lethargic kicks drew chants of "you f***ed up," which is always ironically hilarious, and post-match, the best friends confronted Hook and Danhausen. That was when Private Party arrived in their first appearance in over a year, and they named FTR, the Young Bucks, and even the Hardys, while putting the division on notice. Matt Hardy and Private Party were part of a faction named the Hardy Family Office, and the last time fans saw Private Party wrestle was on the December 2nd, 2022 episode of Rampage. That match saw the pair lose to Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and Mark Quinn would spend months out with a shoulder injury, leaving Isaiah Cassidy to struggle in singles action. Now that the duo has returned, fans are hoping for them to gain momentum and be a successful tag team in 2024, especially after putting everyone on notice. Do you think Private Party will win the AEW World Tag Team Championships in the future? Let us know in the comments section below. In one of his stronger showings to this point, Konosuke Takeshita systematically defeated Darby Allin in what was very much a showcase for the Japanese wrestler. This was a bit more competitive than a traditional squash, but Takeshita had an answer for every piece of offense from Allin and obliterated Darby with some impressive strikes. The move of the match, and perhaps the entire show, saw Takeshita deliver a German suplex from the top turnbuckle, which probably knocked a year or two off Allin's career. This was the best Takeshita has looked since his win over Kenny Omega, and felt like a return to form, and Don Callis also challenged Allin and Sting to face Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs next week. Takeshita has the potential to hang the Icon's first loss on him in AEW, which only enhances what could be a significant stretch for the young potential face of the company's future. In the AEW Continental title eliminator, Trent Beretta defeated Brian Cage, Brian Keith, and El Hijo del Vikingo, meaning he'll be the first person to challenge Eddie Kingston. So, that was Dynamite, and what did you make of the show? Let us know in the comments. We've got an update on Kimber Lee, who is facing charges including DUI, resisting an officer with violence, and battery on a law enforcement officer, but she has more time to build a defense. The pre-trial conference for Kimber Lee's criminal case, originally scheduled for January 3rd, 2023, has been rescheduled to February 6th, and will continue to follow her case for further updates. On January 13th, Impact will officially relaunch as TNA Wrestling with their Hard to Kill show, but this won't be a pay-per-view in the traditional sense for the company. The latest advertisement for TNA Plus has now revealed an interesting change, as instead of pay-per-view, the company is now calling their big shows premium live events instead. This is of course what WWE calls their own events, and it may be due to WWE and TNA both having broadcast deals in place with Endeavor. A huge signing is expected to appear at TNA Hard to Kill, though there's still no word on who it is, and we'll have to see who shows up at this much anticipated premium live event.